Welcome, everyone, to this edition of What Matters. Thank you for joining me. Today, I have, as always, a special guest with me, Debbie Miles Sr. Thank you for coming, Debbie.
Thank you for having me.
So, Debbie is a social worker here in Toronto. Do you work mostly in Durham or?
Durham and Peel in Toronto.
Okay, so for those who are not from Canada, not from Toronto, Durham and Peel, so she basically covers a very wide region because those are opposite ends of the city. Debbie has been a social worker for 20 years. And yeah, it does. And I'm sorry to put you out there like that. But what Debbie does is very special. And I actually had the privilege of meeting Debbie when I joined a program. And this program came about through another amazing community effort. How I found out about it was through a Facebook group for moms. And I had made some comments. Elle, that you work with, Michelle, she commented on my post, and I was talking about parenting and generational trauma. And Elle, she jumped on the post and she's like, yes, this is what we're talking about. And I found out about this amazing program called Together We Are, which is facilitated by Debbie and Michelle. And so for the month of January and February, for 6 weeks, we went to a church in Durham and we spoke about parenting from a Caribbean perspective. And you'd say, well, parents are parents, but what we go through, what we learn, how we're raised really affects our styles of parenting and how we communicate with our children. In the meantime, the children were participating in this amazing drumming program run by Afimi, and I will put that in the comments of the show after because you can still join up. And they learned African drumming. We learned about ourselves, why we did what we did, and it was the most bonding, amazing, humbling. Like, I know this all sounds tacky and corny. Just sign up and go, and you'll be playing the same violins as me. It was amazing. We were out in the dead of winter, okay?
That's
February,
true.
storms. And I remember,
That's true.
right?
And Valentine's Day,
Valentine's
and everybody
Day.
committed and came.
People came,
And
right?
people came.
It was on Thursdays, right?
Yes, Thursday night,
And
2 hours.
I remember that the night we walked in, and it was cold, and it was ugly,
And it was,
and it was full. And
yeah.
Debbie and Michelle were like, they all came.
They
and we
all
were
came.
like, of course we all came. There were dads there. There were men there of all different, if you look at them, they look like they're all from very different walks of life, but we're not. We're all the same. So we shared our experiences. We had a lovely lady there, Stephanie, older lady who, had children in the system. She shared how she changed her parenting skills and how from her children that are now in their 40s to her new daughter who's 12 and how that evolved and changed. And it was just wonderful. So, of course, I harassed Debbie to come on the show, right?
It was a pleasure. It's been, it was
So, as I've said all this and taken up like a good part of Debbie's time to introduce herself, I just want to let you know how I met and how I connected with her. And Debbie runs other programs too.
Yes.
There's now Side by Side.
Side by Side Family Center. It is our new initiative. It will be a service for marginalized family and to just really meet that needs and to impact and do some shakedown.
Question for you, because I like definitions. Have you guys noticed yet? I love a definition because I like people to be clear on what things mean. A lot of times words get buzzy and people shoot them out and they start to forget what they actually mean. So what is marginalized?
So good question, because as we are working through the definition of what marginalized, should it be racialized families, it's mostly families that are impacted by who are minor or seem as minority, or those who are discriminated against, whether it be their race, whether it be where they're from, their language, their culture, their income. So we're really still trying to figure out the definition and what would best fits for a community. So we've been working through, should it be more for families who fit this definition, or marginalized sometimes is not seen as a positive term, right? And so over the years, people have changed it. So It's now, what is really that definition, and how do you define it in your mission statement and create a vision out of it?
I'm
So
glad I asked the question.
yes,
So it's changing.
it's
Evolving.
changing, it's evolving. So that might change also in our
That's
mission.
so 20 years as a social worker. So Debbie,
Yes.
Debbie's story is really interesting, and she will share it with you. I'm fascinated by her. I think you're amazing, and she did. I mean, as a facilitator, they are amazing. They kept us on point, but we felt really comfortable, and we would talk and talk and talk and talk.
And it was just amazing.
It was amazing. How did you get here, Debbie? How did you get to the point that you've been? What made you become a social worker?
Wow. That's a good question. You know, they always say social workers are people who want to save the world or have issues of their own. But for me, I really wanted to make a difference. And I really wanted to use my story. I was born in Jamaica, in Yala St. Thomas country. Came to Canada when I was 12. Lost my mom in Jamaica. It takes a village. So my aunt and my neighbor and everybody raised me. And so one of the biggest thing was that because the community raised me and my family raised me, the next step was to have me here in Canada with my sister. And so, as a young girl living in Jamaica, I was enjoying myself. I was running around, eating mango, climbing papa tree. I didn't want to be in Canada. And so I came here when I was 12 and shock.
It was cold, eh?
It was cold. I came in December. I remember that. And I landed and I thought, oh my God, this is such a beautiful place. And to my shock, there was a lot of things that I wasn't prepared for. I wasn't prepared for kids making fun of my speech. I wasn't prepared to felt like an outcast. Because as I said, I grew up in Jamaica and there was no segregation. You're white, you're black, And so at 12, I came to my sister, and if you were one of those kids that was left behind, almost like a barrel child, and you come and that caregiver suddenly believe that's who you're supposed to be and then you're not. And so unfortunately, when I came here, had a lot of struggles, conflict with my sister who was my caregiver. And so out of that, I then became, I was then placed in care of children aides. And within that, and seeing things and fighting through the system. And, I used to always get your angry young black child and being put back a grade and suspended and moving from one white home to another white home. And just seeing how people look at you. For me, it was like, I was still like, I just wanted to be in Jamaica, and then just growing up and learning to navigate through that. And I really wanted to, once I came out of children aids, my goal was to make a difference, was to really, lived in the system, worked in the system. And then I thought, how can I impact the system? How can I make a difference? And so I went back to school, and I was very like one of those students that was determined, to shake up everywhere I went. And I remember I went to York for my social work degree, and it was for every introductory I was like, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is what needs to happen for black parents, and this is what needs to happen for black people, and this is what needs to happen, and the system is wrong, and it was like really spilling up the stuff, but really needed to put it in action. And so finished my social work, worked in the system, and I realized that change needed to be happen, other things needed to be happen. And so 5 years ago, I started side-by-side Supervised Access, that we're still moving strong. And I wanted to make a change for parents. And I worked in the system, as I said. I worked in children's, worked in different areas of families and social work, do many different things. And I thought, this has to look different. When parents are faced in custody and access, children shouldn't be impacted like this. A parent having an access visit shouldn't feel like an institution. And so, hence, and as I said, it's God-given vision. Sometimes your path, you go this way, and sometimes you're directed this way. And so out of that, we created side-by-side supervised access. And
Amazing.
it's been going strong. And then in Durham, I live in Ajax. And one of the big thing I've noticed living in Ajax for the past almost 14 years is that there's a need, and I've seen that there's a need for, the Black community is growing in Durham. Cultural, it's just growing. It's getting really diverse, and I wanted to fill that need. I wanted to be part of the change, and so there was a call for proposal through the ministry, and so I approached a couple of organizations, and John Howard Society of Oshawa came on board, and together we worked through the Kingston wrote a proposal, and it's been a year now that we got our funding, and it's been great. It's been like the most amazing road ever. Like the parents that come, the kids that come, the input, the feedback that we get, it's just so inspiring. And so, I continue to do that.
So, there's a hand. I knew the hand I felt the hand from the back of my head. It's like, when your mom stares at you and you're not looking at her? Anisha has that effect on me.
It's that time.
So we have to go to commercial, but you see why I'm so fascinated with this woman. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about what it means to be a Black parent, what it's like to grow up in the system, and the challenges, and I'm facing some myself right now, the challenges of parenting. So come back to join us after this break.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Hello, my name is Anisha, and I'm the production manager of TCM Network. Have you ever wanted to host your own show? Do you have a message to share? Well, you're in luck. We are looking for dynamic and unique individuals to host their own shows. We are seeking people who are committed, motivated, and energetic. Do you want to be the next Jimmy Fallon, Ellen DeGeneres, or Shane and Ryan from BuzzFeed Unsolved? Start here. Fill out the Propose a Show form on mytcntv.com. We're here to educate, support, and build the community. Can you lead by example? Go the extra mile and seek knowledge? Are you humble, disciplined, responsible, selfless, and enthusiastic? Those are our core values. And if you identify with them, you could be part of a growing network that focuses on positivity and uplifting our community. We can't wait for you to join us on TCN Network and hope to hear from you soon.
Welcome back to this edition of What Matters. And today, see, Anisha, I did it on my own. And today we are here with Debbie Miles Sr. She is a social worker in Toronto. The founder, are you the founder of Side by Side?
Yep.
The founder of Side by Side. Also the facilitator for a program called Together We Are. Debbie has worked in many environments with parents, children, youth, job hunting. I'm trying to remember all the things she wrote in her email. She just does a lot. And the reoccurring theme here is highlighting people within the community who do for the community. That's what I want to present. That's what this platform is for. And the passion, when people are truly passionate about what they do, it is extremely inspiring. And as I go through the show and I go from week to week, month to month, what I'm finding out is the people who are most impactful, most passionate, are often the most humble. And they aren't trying to give themselves the exposure that they should. And that's why I'm here. I'm going to find them all and bring them on and expose to the world what they do. And I find that the people who are best meant to lead us often don't want to lead. Mm-hmm. Their idea is to help. Yeah. Often the people who want to lead, they're not good for us in general, right? So I'm very, very glad that you graced our platform with your presence. So we spoke a little bit about why Debbie does what she does, and I said in the intro as well how we met through the Together We Are program, which was just phenomenal. And I kind of wanted to sneak back to the next session, but apparently I got to wait or something. But it was very informative. I learned a lot about me. My son had a blast, found a new passion, and we connected. We did the community thing. That was really wonderful to be able to connect with other people within the area that you live. One of the biggest topics or the point of Together We Are is we talked about our parenting. Yeah.
Yes, that's the biggest challenge.
It is
the
is
biggest
very
challenge and the
challenging.
biggest reward and the biggest everything, I would say.
Everything. And I know that, as I said, I'm facing different challenges. I have two boys. I think I didn't forget you. I also have a daughter, but she's very much an adult. And I have two younger boys. And, specific challenges with each. My 16-year-old is completely unmotivated to do anything. My 9-year-old just lost his dad last week. So challenging is, and I find that the world has changed. I raised my daughter a while ago. I'm not going to specifically say when. But it was easy. Like, I tell people that all the time, that I almost feel bad because back then when people are like, oh my gosh, it must be so hard, I'm like, no. But I find that with social media and the way society's set up now, and there's this strange removal almost from reality, even how our kids don't play outside and they don't interact with each other, and it's just a lot more difficult now. It seems to be a lot more difficult now. What are the challenges that you, like, consistently, I know I've just brought up social media, but consistently, what challenges do you hear parents tell you that they're facing?
The common thing we hear now is really learning how to parent teenagers and having conversation with your teenagers. And, parents will say the attitude that I get from teenagers, that is one of the biggest challenge, the discipline. It's how do you parent teenagers? It's like, the saying that goes, when they reach 12, it's like an alien comes and take their body and they don't return until they're 21. And so at that point, as a parent, you just have to learn to survive it. I have 3 kids, and my youngest is 17, and it's work. I remember when she and I would go shopping, and you always hear that thing, a mother and a daughter going shopping. How beautiful. No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's me and
beautiful.
my son. We fight every time we go shopping. It ends so horribly.
Not good.
Every time.
Yes. And it's usually, it's that, or I'll call her dad and says, I can't do this. I'm going to lose my mind. Right? Or sometimes when your teenager is speaking to you, and your automatic thing as a parent is to help. And so you will want to try to say something to comfort them. And you might say, well, that wasn't nice. Well, why don't you try this? And all of a sudden they turn on you. It's like, what? Why would you say that? I didn't ask that. Why are you saying that? Right? And so it's learning to really, and not to take it personal, not to take the things personal when, I'll hear parents says, you go out and I have to walk. They walk way ahead of me so that nobody will see me walking with my parent as a teenager,
hurtful.
right?
It's
so hurtful. But just remember that it's short term.
Okay.
And they grow out of it.
All right. I'd like to believe that, because my experience was so strange. My daughter turned into an alien at 22.
Oh, wow.
So I had the whole teenager. I was laughing at everybody. I'm like, this is not hard. This is not hard. And then by the time she started acting weird, I'm like, yeah, you're going to have to do that somewhere else.
Yeah.
It was simple, right? But then I got my son, and then now, yeah.
Yeah.
So teenagers, talking to teenagers, communicating with them, disciplining them. I think also, like I said, social media. Another thing that I heard was also, too, culturally, because one of the things we will touch on and speak about is being a Black parent. And that could be Caribbean, that could be Nova Scotian, that could be American, whatever it is. And there are certain things that come with it, right?
Yes.
And especially in the Caribbean culture, it's not far removed. A lot of the Canadians you see here were first or second generation Canadians, and some of us aren't even. Our kids are. And a lot of the things that we learned and the way that we were raised, I don't want to knock it because there's so much value in it. there's so many things my mom did, and I'm really grateful. I hated them at the time, but I'm grateful, right? But at the same time, with the change of country, with the change of times, hopefully with the evolution of us, there's a lot of things that we have to let go of. Right? Because as we discussed, and together we realize that some of the things that we naturally fall back on are just toxic.
Yes.
They're just a very negative and, quite honestly, as a parent, a childish way to respond to our frustrations. And you said something just now, Debbie, which is damn near impossible for me. Don't take it personally.
Yes. That is tough. I'm not going to like claim it's easy. It's tough. Or learning to just walk away and learning to take the time out. It's so personal because it's your child,
it's your
right?
Child. It's so personal. You're giving of yourself. Yeah. You're
doing everything.
Someone. And then when they react in this horrific way, you're not supposed to take it personally like you're at work. That's ridiculous. I would take the blood out of my veins and give it to
my child.
And then when you act like an ass, I'm not supposed to take it personally. How do you do that?
Well, you know what? Because sometimes kids will say, well, I didn't tell you to be that way. I didn't ask you that, right? And yes, I
didn't ask you to help me through my life.
Yeah, exactly, right? And sometimes, especially when you talk about the culture, right? In Jamaica, it's like, you're not supposed to be
one box,
you're not supposed to be, children are supposed to be seen and not heard, right? So why are you talking back? Why are you being ungrateful?
All these opinions.
What's with the opinion? But but as you said, right, we are raising kids here in this generation, and it's about kids are expressive. And I remember when for my first son, I was a single mother, and I was determined not to be that mother. And I was already stats. And so my thing was really to change the way I was parented. So I said, okay, you know what? Express your feelings. Maybe that was a bad mistake because over time he overexpressed himself to things. But it's really just remembering that, of course, you're not going to take everything and say, it's okay, they're at that stage. But really be mindful of where they're at and be open to listening and do your own time out. Right?
Yes. Okay.
Do your own time out with kids.
I like that a lot. That's something that we learn.
Yes.
I don't want to give away the whole program, and I won't. But one of the things we learned in this class is that as a parent, you need a timeout. Sometimes your kid says something stupid, and it's for you to walk away. You should go to your room. You should get yourself an ice cream and go sit down somewhere, or wine. We usually resort to wine, right?
Yeah.
But it's about learning how to control yourself and not just be reactive, right?
Exactly.
It's the reaction. And another great thing, and I want to talk about that when we come back from the break, was an amazing tool that I didn't get to use with my teenager because he's impossible, but the vision board. The vision board.
I love that. Yeah.
So when we come back from the break, we're going to touch on that. And it's not what you think, your typical, what do you want to do with your life this year and stuff like that. It's something for parents, children, families. So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about the vision board for parenting. We will speak more about growing up in the system. And we have to share with the audience all the wonderful things that you're doing, where to find you, how to get in contact with you, and how to use Debbie's services. So we will be back after this break.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Hello, my name is Anisha, and I'm the production manager of TCM Network. Have you ever wanted to host your own show? Do you have a message to share? Well, you're in luck. We are looking for dynamic and unique individuals to host their own shows. We are seeking people who are committed, motivated, and energetic. Do you want to be the next Jimmy Fallon, Ellen DeGeneres, or Shane and Ryan from BuzzFeed Unsolved? Start here. Fill out the Propose a Show form on mytcntv.com. We're here to educate, support, and build the community Can you lead by example? Go the extra mile and seek knowledge? Are you humble, disciplined, responsible, selfless, and enthusiastic? Those are our core values. And if you identify with them, you could be part of a growing network that focuses on positivity and uplifting our community. We can't wait for you to join us on TCN Network and hope to hear from you soon.
Welcome back to this edition of What Matters, and we're talking about parenting, challenges, rewards, parenting and culture. Our guest is Debbie Miles Sr. She has been a social worker here in Toronto for over 20 years. Having experienced the system firsthand herself by being in it, she decided instead of just complaining about it, she would join in and change it. And I like the change makers, and I'm glad that you're here with me today, Debbie. So when we finished off the last segment, we were speaking about the Together We Are program, which is how I met you, and the wonderful tools that we learned. And one of them is, as a parent, to take a time out. It's not always to send them away. Sometimes you have to send you away.
Yeah.
And, maybe take wine with you when you go, or scotch, depending on the situation. But another great tool that we learned about was the vision board.
Yes.
So can you tell us a bit about that, Debbie?
So the vision board, really helps you to define what your family should look like. What are your values? What are your beliefs? What are your goals? And it's really helped to connect you with your children. What is it that your children want, the kids want, right? What do they, what are some of the things that will to help you bond with your kids, right? I really, every organization, every system has a vision. And so sometimes we forget about our own, creating our own value, like naming it. And, that really is the help us to map things, map our own family system.
Yes.
And what it should look like. Because I remember when we had kids, my husband and I, we decided that our vision, or what was important for us with our kids, was that we didn't want our children to be defined by the fact that they were blacks. Oh, black kids don't go camping, or black kids don't go to the opera, or black kids don't do this, or So we wanted to make sure that our kids didn't feel like they should be lived, they should live their life based on what society says. And so so everything we did, 2 years ago, we went curling. I must say, curling, I give new props to that sport, because it is a very difficult sport to do. Yeah. And so we tried it for my husband's birthday. But it's really, and so when I see my kids now that they do so many things and it doesn't hold them back, it makes me feel good. And so it's really important that, especially if you're a new parent, or if you are, if you're having, step kids, it's really important that everybody sit together and create a vision. What is it going to be like? How often do we want to go on vacation? Dinner, I remember, my first son needed a little bit more time. So the vision was, our goal was once a month. This was my time with you to really connect, right? So it's really important. It's just that roadmap for you and your family.
That's amazing. And something you said about the vision statement and the mission statement, that companies have them, and that's how they direct their business. And if you've ever had to drop a business plan, often you will find that can be one of the hardest parts of it. When they say, what is your vision statement? You're supposed to, in this one eloquent sentence, or one or two, say what your vision is. And sometimes you realize you're like, I don't even know how to put it into words.
Yes.
Or you realize at that point, I'm not really sure what it is. Like, you may start a business like, I want to make money. Well, I can absolutely promise you, if that's your vision, it's not going to go very far, because just wanting to make money is not enough. You have to have a vision.
You have to have a vision.
And so by sitting down with your kids and saying, what do you want our family to look like? In your opinion, what should this look like? Now, obviously, granted, you may hear, well, we should have ice cream every night, or this, and that. But you're looking for the bigger picture, the things they want to do together, the amount of time that they feel is a good amount of time. And they may shock you. They may want to spend a lot more time with you than you thought. They may want to spend a lot less time with you than you thought, too. But sometimes what they need, if we don't ask them, we never know.
You never know.
Right?
Yep.
And so that's why I thought the vision board was so interesting. And thinking about how, I mentioned it to my son and nothing ever got done. I think it can almost be a thinking assignment where it's like, and I'm going to play back this episode and write down the questions that you asked, but, how often should we go for dinner? When would you like to go for vacation? What can we do to spend time together? You tell me. I'm not going to tell you.
Yes.
And to hear what they have to say. So I really loved the input.
Yes. And even just the connection when you're sitting together, and it's just, like we did in the group, is that, you get a bunch of magazines and you just sit together and you paste it and you just create the things. And at the end, it's amazing what you see, and once you do that, and you usually, once you can visualize something, it becomes more alive.
Yes.
Once you're able to really get committed to it, more so than just writing it and leaving it and folding it up and leaving it. Once you put it out there, it's really good. Yeah.
So another great theme, and something that I talked about a lot with my co-host Andrew Blackwood, we talk about apologies and the importance of that.
Yes.
And I love it. Andrew came by with, what was the term? Don't do a walk by apology. You drive by. There's I'm sorry.
Yeah. Or the butt.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but and so there's more to saying I'm sorry than just saying I'm sorry. And the first step of saying I'm sorry is reflection. You should know why you're sorry. I tell my kids that. Mom, I'm sorry. Why are you sorry? They look at me like, I don't know, because you're mad. No. Go back and figure out why you're sorry. What did you do that you're sorry about? I also made the mistake of telling my children, if you're not sorry, don't say sorry. So I've kind of had that backfire on me a couple of times.
Like, well, I don't know. So
they're like, no, not sorry. I did it. And, I'm sorry you're mad, but I'm not sorry I did it. So sometimes I get that. But not from the child's point of view, the parents.
Yes, to say sorry. It's tough. It is tough for your child, especially if your child's like 7. I mean, my grandson will say to me, well, he's 4, Grandma, you hurt my feelings. Say sorry, right? And I want to say, I'm sorry, but, right?
Which completely erases everything you said before,
right?
But.
Right? And then to think that even when as a teenager, it's humbling, and really getting connected to your kids, and culturally, and the culture plays a big part in it, right? You don't say sorry to your kids, right? It's like, no, but it really connects and it really humbles, right? Because your kids really look at you differently in that way, right? My daughter she sent me a text to say, when you did this and this and this, right? I was upset, and I was like, I'm not going to say sorry. I'm not going to say sorry. I'm not going to say sorry. But eventually, once you get out of the ego part of parenting, once you get out of that ego part, it humbles you, right? And it helps you connect, right? Because once I did and said, I'm sorry that, I did this, that was not my intentions. And leave it. That's all they want, right?
I agree 100%. And it's a learning thing too, because like I said, you've got to reflect on why you're sorry, right? And I know for me, again, with our parenting, what we often will do, we'll either completely mimic what was done or try to do the 180 thing where I'm not going to do that at all. And as we've seen, that has backfired on us as well. You're hyper disciplined, so you're like, I'm going to let them be free. And then you have these banshees in your house. There has to be a medium. And one of the things, Mom, if you're watching, I'm so pleased and proud with my mom, is I saw her efforts to do better. Perfect? No. But definitely better. And one of the things my mom did a lot when I was young, and still does it now, she tells me she loves me all the time. My mom's very big on, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. And so, of course, that I do that with my kids. But I took it one step further, because my mom doesn't know I'm sorry. Like, the whole world could fall apart, and it's very hard to get my mother to say sorry. Even though she does it now, it took me a long time to get here, okay? Me now, I turned into Miss I'm Sorry. And I'd be, with the 3-year-old, I'm so sorry. And I get down on their level. But when I'm not sorry, I'm so not sorry. And you know it. Yeah. So I tried to find that balance. So when I was wrong, I'd go back and say, you know what? I was in a really bad mood and you didn't deserve to be yelled at like that. And I apologize. I've also been called out and they're like, that was messed up. I'm like, yeah, and?
Yeah.
And my daughter's like, wow. But by empowering
Yep.
her to use her words and by using mine and allowing her to check me, because like you said, it's an ego thing. I am the parent and you are the child, and you don't get to tell
Yep.
me I'm wrong. Yeah, I do. I spend like the most time with you of anybody in the world. You're the biggest jerk to me. I know you best. You're wrong. And you really have to understand that their input on who you are as a person is so valid.
Yes.
Because they see you with the purest eyes, and they're always watching you. And that's why they can tell you when you're messed up. You should really listen to your kids when they're telling you about yourself, which is super hard. It involves
it's super
wine.
hard.
It
Yeah.
involves wine. So when we come back from this break, which now will be our last segment, Debbie.
Okay.
I told you it
That
goes
was fun.
fast. I told you it goes
my
fast. So I'm
gosh.
going to have her back. And Crystal, if you're watching, I'm planning to put you back on with her. I have this whole plan brewing in my brain as we speak. So when we come back, we are going to wrap up a bit with, I do want to hear more about what Debbie does with Side by Side, how we can get into the TWA program, Together We Are, where does it run, how do we contact her, and all the wonderful things she's doing, because Debbie is really making a difference in the community of Toronto. We will be right back after this break.
Hello, my name is Anisha, and I'm the production manager of TCM Network. Have you ever wanted to host your own show? Do you have a message to share? Well, you're in luck. We are looking for dynamic and unique individuals to host their own shows. We are seeking people who are committed, motivated, and energetic. Do you want to be the next Jimmy Fallon, Ellen DeGeneres, or Shane and Ryan from BuzzFeed Unsolved? Start here. Fill out the Propose a Show form on mytcntv.com. We're here to educate, support, and build the community. Can you lead by example? Go the extra mile and seek knowledge? Are you humble, disciplined, responsible, selfless, and enthusiastic? Those are our core values. And if you identify with them, you could be part of a growing network that focuses on positivity and uplifting our community. We can't wait for you to join us on TCN Network and hope to hear from you soon.
Welcome back, and I'm here chatting with Debbie Miles Sr., the founder of Side by Side, the facilitator of Together We Are, all-around superwoman, mother, grandmother, and somebody who's helping push us forward.
Yes.
And I love that. I think that introspection is one of the most powerful things in the whole wide world. I think introspection can change everything. If people would stop and think about why they do what they do, it can change so much for people. We often, you hear people say, well, that's just how I am. That is something you tell me and we're fighting. I don't believe that. I think that we are designed to evolve. We're designed to grow. Mental growth is a lifelong thing.
Yes.
We grow physically until about 21. I didn't even get that far. I think they stopped me growing to about 14. But mentally, you're supposed to grow until you die. And the idea that you know it and that's how it is preposterous because there's so much more to learn.
Yep, there's so
And
much
as
more
you
to
evolve
learn.
as a person and you grow as a person, your perspectives will change. So I have the interesting phenomenon of having one child every 10 years on average. So who I was when I had the first and then the second, and it has changed. And of course, the first got to watch the whole thing. And she's like, who are you? What is that? What's this liberal stance you're taking, Mom? But I've learned and I've grown and I've learned how to pick my fights,
Yes.
right? And with the first one, everything was a fight. You are going to do everything my way.
Yeah.
Exactly as I want it. And then I realized, oh, you're not me. You have your own free will. And I've learned to let that go. So the evolution of us, it should happen naturally as a person, but then when you put that other layer of parenting on, having to regulate another human being
Yes.
while you're growing up yourself.
While you're growing up yourself.
And that means you're 30, you're 40, you're 50, you're 60. You're still growing up.
You're still growing up. Yeah.
And then you have to kind of go back to that person and say, yeah, you know that thing I told you before? I've reconsidered.
Yeah.
And, you know, like you said, at that point you got to let go of the ego and just say sorry.
Just say sorry.
Or just go back in the past and go, you know how I used to treat you? Yeah, that wasn't right.
Yeah.
But it does bond you.
Yes.
And it does. My children tried to. The other day, I said to the first two, I said, you know, I want to apologize for spanking you when you were little. My daughter said, what? She was not even happy. She wasn't even impressed. She was annoyed with me. She said, what? She said, you can't take that back now. I said, yeah, but I realized in reflection that that wasn't really the best way. I mean, I actually don't think all of them were invalid, but, you know, talking, you're such a smart girl. Her brother says to her now when she tells him, because I went and I said that to him too, right? Because first two, you know, I spanked them. Hope that doesn't get me in too much trouble. But, you know, and I went and I said the same thing to him. I mean, totally unprompted, me just thinking, I think it was after one of your classes, lady.
Yes.
It was probably after one of those classes in January. And I went home and I just tell these children this random apology about something I did years ago. The daughter goes, what? My son calls his sister. He's like, so you didn't get us a car? She's like, what? He's like, these are the times you ask for things.
You milk it at this
Yeah,
point.
it's like, you could have got us a car. She's like, wait, how did we become us? He's like, you get the car. I'm too young to drive. You pick me up. But that's what I got. But it still was a bonding moment, right? I went in cold turkey. I'm sorry for something I did a long time ago. One's like, who are you? And the other one's like, good, give me something for it. Compensation, right? Reparations.
Yes.
This is what my son wanted. But that's what I got. But there is, it helps you let go as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you're still mom.
You're still mom, and you're still going to make rules, and you're still, even though sometimes you'll say sorry, you still have to clean up your room. You know what I mean? Like, you still, and as you said, it humbles you, right? And it connects you to your kids.
Yes, and parenting shouldn't be bullying.
No, not at all. Sometimes we do that. Sometimes we do that.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes
and
we
especially
do that.
culturally.
Yeah.
Because some of us were raised by the biggest bullies, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Some of us really were.
Yeah.
It wasn't discipline.
Yeah.
It was an authority that they tried to
Yes.
cover you,
You are,
in.
yeah.
And it,
Frightened to death of this
yeah,
person.
and that's not healthy. That's not,
No.
you know, love. And I mean, I understand that, you know, like I said, I think some of us have gone 180 and have taken it too far. But I always say, you know, a 2-year-old doesn't really comprehend the idea of respect. You stick your finger in the socket, you're going to get electrocuted. So I may tap your hand so you don't do it because I don't want you to get hurt. But over time, what does happen is they do start to understand respect.
Yes.
And something that I had to say to some of my elders is respect goes both ways. I'm not just going to respect you because you were born in a certain year and you treat me like garbage. How can you speak to someone like they're trash and then expect them to respect you?
Yeah.
They may fear you.
They may fear you, but
But the difference between respect and fear is when the power is lost, people who respect you will still respect you. If they fear you and you lose your power, they're out. It's because all they did was fear you, and once they no longer fear you, the reaction will not be good. So I think that as parents, that tool of apologizing is one of the most powerful things you can use because you have to reflect on why you're saying sorry.
Yes.
Which means you have to reflect on why you did what you did. And that may take you down a rabbit hole, but you got to go down there. And it may take you right back to your childhood or take you back even further than that to realize why your parent behaved the way they behaved to help you understand your behavior, to help you correct your behavior as you go forward. So that introspection, that reflection, all that generational trauma, all of that is tied in. So start with saying, I'm sorry. I start with that. And I think that kind of unravels a lot of the nonsense.
The kids might be shocked. But.
Yeah, or ask for a car.
Ask for a car.
Be careful, okay? Just be really careful how you apologize.
I apologize for that one.
Debbie, tell me, okay, so side by side is what is it exactly?
So side by side, supervised access, what we do is help to create best outcomes for parents and children impacted by separation and divorce. So we connect parents and their children to help them keep their relationship going, parent-child relationship going. So how we do that, we offer several type of services. We do supervised access at our center. We have a new center. We've moved into a bigger space to help really meet parents' need. So we do that where parents get a chance to rebuild their relationship with their children, supported by our staff. We also do that in the community. So we understand that parenting needs to, when you're going through separation and you've been informed by the courts or through lawyers that you have to have your visit supervised, we try to make it as natural as possible. So the community part really help you to continue to parent in, so you're not really feeling like you're in this isolation. And so the community, meaning that we've had parents ask us to go to church with them, with their children, the move to the theater, to dinner. And so we do that and go and give support, and it's supported by a worker. And we also provide therapeutic. We do a lot of therapeutic access for parents and children. When a parent has been separated from a child for such a period of time, there's been some trauma, a parent is learning how to rebuild their relationship. Then we provide that support and that tool to help rebuild that relationship. So our goal is really to create the best outcomes for parents. And we do service also in parents in the home. If you're struggling around your parenting, if you need some tools, if you're a new parent, and you're dealing with the courts or, and your conditions state certain things, then we provide that services for you. And so that's what Supervised Access does.
That's amazing, because from my limited knowledge of Supervised Access, I know that sometimes it'd be almost like in a courthouse setting, where the one parent has access to the child for a certain amount of hours per week, and they meet in a very sterile room with like a table and a chair.
No, ours is really cool.
Yeah.
I've had we get approval from a 4-year-old. Little kids will come in and says, I like it. I think I'll live here. Can I live here? And I like your color. Yeah. And that's when we feel good, right? We get the approval from the kids, right? And parents will fit in there.
And that's amazing, to go to church, to go to the movies, to go to different places of normalcy with them, because how do you rebuild a relationship in an artificial environment, right? Where you have to navigate things, the line at the movies, how do you behave when your kid runs off, and so to have somebody there to help, that is phenomenal. And then the Together We Are, I know that there's another edition running now, right?
So we finished that, and that was phenomenal. Had some amazing parents. And the school, we ran it out of the school. The Durham District School Board was just amazing, and they jump on board. And we ran it out of a school, that elementary school, and the principal and everybody, all the administrator, just was really amazing. The community's just been really good to us in showing up. And so our next session will be in May 16th, and it will be run out of our center. And we're doing this time, we're providing more of literacy and creating stories with parents and their children. And to connect with us, that way you can try giving us a call. We'll post the contact number, but if you're having problems reaching us, that way you can try connecting through Side by Side.
Amazing. So yes, all the information will be in the comments.
Yes.
Debbie and I have posted in several groups. You could find us on Facebook. You could find me on Facebook, Erica Elita. And we'll make sure you get the information.
Yes.
And if you're stuck and you can't find it, feel free to send me a message on social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. And Debbie as well, you can find her, and I'll make sure I link you, because these programs are such value, and they're so fun. It's like fun. Don't think you're going to go with a pen and it's boring, and it's fun. And we used to eat like oxtail and curry chicken, and we have rice and peas after. And we had a really good time. It was a good time. I'm sneaking back into the program next time. Didn't change my hair or something. So Debbie, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It's been amazing.
Pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I thank you, and I look forward to having you back. I have this wonderful idea for a panel. I've had some phenomenal guests with some strong ideas on how we can, affirm our community, and I think that Debbie would definitely be just a leader.
Amazing.
I thank you, and thank you for joining me. I will be back next week with Andrew. Andrew and I will be here, and I thank you all for joining me. Thank you for all the messages. Thank you for all the love that you've shown me during this very hard time. I thank you. And again, Dave, this one is for you. So I will see you next week. Thank you for watching What Matters.